Welcome to Take Two Radio. I'm Pam, your host, and joining me today is my trusty co-host, Anthony. Hi, Anthony.
Hey, hey, hey.
I hope you're doing well today.
I am, but it's hot as Hades.
I can imagine. It is everywhere pretty much. But today on Take Two Radio, we are honored to welcome an actor whose career has delivered decades of unforgettable television, comedy, and dramatic storytelling. From his fan favorite role as Brock Hart on Reba to standout appearances on Murphy Brown, Boston Legal, Melissa and Joey, and many more, Christopher Rich has built a career defined by versatility, charisma, and an unmistakable on-screen presence. We're going beyond the resume to explore the artist's journey, the evolution of his craft, the moments that shaped his career, and the resilience that continues to inspire audiences everywhere. Please welcome the incredibly talented Christopher Rich.
Wow, Pam, you make me sound so cool. I'd like to meet me.
But you are cool.
Absolutely.
And we are so pleased to have you with us.
I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, I'd like to start out with a little bit before the acting gigs. You originally studied pre-med, from what I understand. I was really surprised to learn that, but then again, not so much because a lot of actors start out doing something else. So was there a specific moment where you realized performing was where you truly belonged?
Well, Pam, these urban myths that get started and they get screwed up. I was actually pre-law. I had been a trial assistant for my father, who was a kick-ass litigator in Dallas, and I wanted to join his firm. So here's the whole story. So I went back to the University of Texas to do pre-law, and instead of doing business or what people usually major in before law school, I decided, since I'd been in the courtroom with my father, that I was going to major in drama. I'd done some plays before, but I know that courtroom presence is the real key to representing a client. So I wanted to be, able to speak publicly and have some confidence. So I took acting classes. And when I was graduating from the University of Texas, I got offered a full ride fellowship for a master's degree at Cornell University in acting. And Texas boys don't turn down the Ivy League. So with my father's blessing, I headed off to Ithaca, New York, and I graduated. That year, it took me 2 years to get my master's, but that final year, I actually got 3 degrees. I got a BA from Cornell, and I got awarded a BFA from the University of Texas. And of course, I got my MFA from Cornell that year. So that was a big year, 78 for me, a long time ago. But
I told you were cool.
Cool and smart. I actually
Yes.
And pretty.
Oh my gosh.
So so and there came a point. Actually, I love my father so much for this. There came a point when I was in Los Angeles, and I'd had I won't tell how miserable the audition was, the test for ABC, because it's embarrassing. But I don't mind embarrassing myself. Obviously, I put myself on camera and play idiots right, left, and center. But I had a really, really bad audition, and I called my father and I said, "Dad, okay, this sucks. I'm going to law school. I'm going back to law school." And he went, "Hold up a second." He'd come and he'd seen me on Broadway by then and a few other plays. And he said, "Anybody can be a lawyer." He said, "You do something that terrifies me. You get up in front of these big audiences and portray these characters." He said, "I could never do that. You need to be an actor, boy. We don't need another lawyer. You go be an actor." So he made me stick with it, and thank him so much for that. He's gone now, but bless you, Dad. Thank you.
Wow. Well, I remember you from Murphy Brown for sure, but you started, or at least early in your career, you were on Another World, which I would imagine was a great training ground for future film and television roles. But could you tell folks a little bit about your experience and how different it is from filming a weekly television show or a film?
Well, Anthony, they're all so different. I mean, these disciplines, obviously stage and television and film are completely different. We get that, you got to pull it back a little bit to work in front of a camera, and you got to project it out if you're on stage. But the soap opera, I'll tell you, it was a training ground for your memory. Sometimes I would have to do 40 pages in a day. Oof. And, we're used to, like, if you're doing a film, you're doing a page and a half a day. And this is, it was intimidating at first, but I got to be really, really good at memorizing stuff. My memory has stuck with me, fortunately, although some of the stuff I remember, I probably shouldn't, but that's another story. And anyway, so yeah, I learned how to work quickly. It does teach people some bad habits, though. I mean, you can see some soap actors have a hard time adjusting to the rhythm of like primetime television. And, it's not so much, we call it egg on your face, when they say a line and you've got the one like, do you want a cup of coffee? And they swing around to you and you've got that goofy look on your face where you're waiting. Soap operas are famous for the egg on the face of actors. So I did learn how to memorize lines, but my training really came from, honestly, from Cornell. They taught us all these different methods to deal with any problem. So I feel like I entered the professional world with a big toolbox of things that I could work with to solve a problem or create a character. And it's really been a blessing to me that I had that training because, I realized the thing that made me able to play like these characters like on Murphy Brown. I mean, Miller Redfield had all the depth of a roadside puddle. And Brock was a little bit of an idiot too, he tried his best, but he was just a goofy dad. But these parts, that are considered to be sort of the villain of the piece or the bad guy, you have to play them like they're the hero. Bad guys don't think they're bad guys. So you don't play them, you don't play the badness. You play these guys as heroes, and somehow the audience gets a kick out of it. I mean, it was true on Boston Legal too. I do have a gift for bringing those kind of characters to life. So I've been but that's from the toolbox, of teaching me how to approach a character and break it down and what it really is. I'm very grateful. I'm a grateful human being. I've had a wonderful run and a great life.
That's beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. Now, with mentioning Broadway, you started as Dionysus and I don't want to mess this up, Bacchae. I don't know how to say that.
And it's called the Bacchae.
Bacchae. Okay, awesome.
Sex, so it was perfect for me.
Oh, wow. Well, looking back, how much do you think that the early classical theater training and physically demanding stage work shaped you as a character and even as a director?
Well, I think what made me a good director is that I love the craft of acting and I love actors. It takes a lot of balls. I'm sorry, Pam. I'm not.
That's okay.
That you're not capable, but I'm saying that it takes a lot of courage to walk up to the edge of a building and jump off and believe that you're going to float down and not crash on your face. That is a brave thing, acting. It's terrifying, but wonderful. I admire actors, so I love to work with them, and I feel like I can gently guide them where they should go. And I don't give bad notes. At least the actors who've worked with me say I don't give bad notes, for which I'm grateful. I remember when Jamie Denton was on Reba, I got to direct him. We had such a good time working together. And Jamie, afterwards, he said in the press somewhere that I was one of his favorite directors that he'd ever worked with. And you get praise like that from actors who are at the top of their game, and you feel pretty good. Yeah, I love directing.
I watched an interview with Steve Howey months and months and months ago where he mentioned you and how generous you were as an actor and as a director, especially with younger ones. Is that a pay it forward kind of feeling for you?
Well, absolutely. And, Steve is having a wonderful career right now.
Right.
He's a terrific actor. And but he was faced with a real challenge on the show of having to play, it's another one. This is really my wheelhouse. As I said, he had to play a stupid lughead football player, right? And they gave him some really stupid things to say, like, I didn't do very well on the test. Like I misspelled my name, and Steve was like, how can anybody be this freaking stupid. And I was like, dude, just play him as, sort of an innocent. It's not, don't play him as stupid. Play him as someone who's trying hard. He's a well-meaning lughead. And Steve embraced that. And God, what a character he created as Van. I mean, people loved Van, JoAnna and Steve together. They did some just marvelous work on that. And they've both gone on to have these terrific, terrific careers. I'm proud of both of them. I loved working with them. They're a joy. We're all still so close. I don't know if you were aware of that, Anthony, but the cast of Reba has stayed very, very close together. Ava and I still go over to Rex and Reba's house to watch University of Texas football games on Saturdays in the fall. We just hang out together. We go to dinners. We do gatherings. We used to take trips together. Not so much of that anymore, but it's a very, very tight-knit group. There's a lot of love in that show, and I think it came across on the screen.
It absolutely did. And I think that that's why, I mean, it's on somewhere at almost every time of the day around the world. So, when you get to that Friends, I Love Lucy kind of status, you become like members of our family or our friend group. And it's really nice to know that you guys have stayed in touch and have kept those relationships going.
Oh, it was just a blessing. I think this is our 25th anniversary of the show this year. So that'll come. Maybe we'll do a get together. And I'm trying to think. I think we premiered. Yeah, well, we premiered right around 9/11. I remember walking it. Well, we shot on the day after 9/11. Our show premiered, I think, 9/12. But I remember talking to the cast and saying, to the audience, because we would go out and do intros, and I said to the audience, I said, a terrible thing has happened, but in our business, we have this thing of the show must go on. So put away all of your worries and your sadness, and tonight come with us on this journey and have some laughs and relax a little bit. But it was, we thought, well, we don't have a chance in the world. Our show's going to premiere during the biggest disaster in American history. So, I think it was the right show at the right time because people really wanted that piece of Americana. And we were very, very different. Nobody had ever shown a divorced couple trying to raise a family before. I thought that was wonderfully unique and great fertile ground to, plow into. How does a shattered family still show love and take care of each other? It was a beautiful, beautiful show, and it meant a lot to me, actually. I think it meant a lot to all of us.
You're right about, it was needed at that time because for myself, with a lot of stress of life and things going on in the world, you want to forget. So Anthony and we lived through soap operas. We're huge soap opera fans, but also I go to comedy and I watch Reba every single day along with King of Queens and Mama's Family and so on and so forth. And it's just something I can never get tired of, even though I could probably tell you every line of every episode at this point. I still enjoy watching it and seeing you guys together. But what has it meant to you seeing newer generations discover the show through streaming?
Oh, it's been shocking to me. I mean, our show really blew up when it went into reruns. Oddly enough, we did better numbers than we did on our regular nights. It's something that was eye-opening. The thing I'm most proud of, Pam, though, I'll tell you, is that people of color come up to me and frequently say how much they enjoyed the show because they could watch it with their entire family, multi-generational. And, watching a bunch of, lily-white people in Houston, Texas, a dentist, and getting pleasure out of it because, it was all about family. I was fortunate enough to direct the episode, though, the Hurricane Rita episode where we took in a Black family in our house.
Yes. And there was like at least 20 of them there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Melissa Peterman, when she got all funked up and, cornrowed her hair and was wearing chains,
yes,
getting all street, she was just hilarious. She killed me in that episode. I couldn't keep her down. She just dominated every scene. It was wonderful working with, with Black actors and talking to them about this and you have to be sensitive in those situations, and it was delicate. It's a beautiful episode. It's a very touching episode, I think, and it's one of the top 5 favorites of. Actually, I think 3 of the shows I directed are among the top 10 favorites of Reba of all time. So I'm very proud of that.
I have to ask you. You spoke a little bit earlier about playing the messy character or the a little bit dumb character. Did you ever find yourself defending some of the Brock's choices in the scripts or some of the things that you were asked to do on Murphy Brown?
Well, Anthony, there's some interesting stories about all of that stuff. The most interesting to me is I went to the black and white ball in Los Angeles. I was invited to be there when I was on Murphy Brown, and I had these were all wealthy, well-educated people. I had a woman genuinely come up to me and she said, "Oh my God, you play Miller Redfield, don't you?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And she said, "Are you that stupid in real life?"
Oh my gosh.
I said, "Absolutely, you have to be stupid to play that character." But what people think. No, you gotta be pretty smart to play a dumbass. Actually, it is kind of true. You do, it's tricky to play those characters, but people do begin to identify with you based on those, or identify you as those characters and treat you as such. It was really terrible on the soap opera. People would send me tapes of the show to show what other characters were doing, to say I needed to watch my back, or
Oh.
I had 2 leather jackets ruined from fans trying to rip them off of me. And it's just, they are intense fans. I was going to ask you, Pam, what was your go-to soap?
Well, I started out with ABC, so Ryan's Hope, Loving, All My Children, One Life to Live, General Hospital. But then when they canceled the majority of those, I kind of drifted over, and now I watch The Young and the Restless, The Bold and the Beautiful, Beyond the Gates, and Days of Our Lives. I mean, I just, if they ever got rid of all my soap operas, I don't know what I would do.
Well, people love their stories, as the people of color call them. You're on my story. It is addictive, and and you have those characters come into your house every day. You begin to believe that you know them. So when you see them in public, you're willing to have intimate conversations with them because you think that you know them, and people are always shocked when it's like, I don't know you. How can I not know you? You're in my house every day. Come on, you got to know me. It's like, this is crazy.
Yeah, but the one thing I never did was mix up the actor from the character. And I know that there's so many out there that do that. And sometimes it's unfortunate. It's like in your case, when they wanted to get at you.
Yeah, well, it's that's the bad part about daytime. But can I ask, were either of you involved in the business before you started doing this?
No.
What led you to this? Now I'm interviewing you.
Well, for myself, I used to listen to podcasts and with the soap opera people, and either they'd be discussing what happened that day, or they had one of the actors on and did an interview. And sometimes they would let you call in and talk to them, ask them a question. And then eventually somebody asked me to be a co-host. And so I did. And then his podcast went down, like he stopped doing it. And then there was some people saying that I should start my own. And I was hesitant at first, but now it's 14 years and here I am. So that's my story.
So you just jumped in. See, that's what actors do. You got to just close
Yeah.
and believe.
For me,
Yeah.
I was the East Coast entertainment editor for the Associated Press before I lost my sight, and it was a very 3 days. In the span of 3 days, I lost my entire sight, and soap operas had always been
How
one of
did
my escapes. So when Pam gave me the opportunity to co-host, it opened up a whole new world.
Right. I'm sorry to interrupt, Anthony, but how did you lose your sight that quickly? What happened?
Oh, public service announcement time for everybody out there listening. I had one of the rare forms of shingles. It was in my brain tissues, my eyes, my ears. I ended up having a surgery where they drilled a hole in my skull to relieve the pressure. And part of what happened was it basically ate the retinas and my optic nerve. And so they thought I had more. I thought I had more vision. The brain is a very funny thing. It makes you think you have more sight than you actually have. It starts filling in the blanks. And over the course of a couple of days, it all went.
Oh my God, that's pretty intense, brother. I can't believe you had to go through that. I'm so sorry. Shingles, yeah. I had the shingles vaccine. It put me down for a week, man. Just the vaccine like hammered me. My reaction to the vaccine, I cannot imagine what it'd be like to get full blown shingles. It's just wow. And shingles in your brain, that's some BS right there, man. I'm so sorry that happened to you, but I advocate for people with disabilities now. Since my stroke, considered a disabled actor now. I don't have a left side, um, but you have my sympathy, and wow, what a great job you've done. I think I see a picture of you and your son. Is that your son?
My nephew.
Oh, he's a cutie pie, and what's your dog's name?
His name is Bodie. He just turned 10. Thank you.
Bodie. I've got a toffee. I've got a little Havanese who's like my best friend. They're circus dogs. They can do.
Yep.
They're fabulous.
You have not stopped acting. You were recently on Happy's Place, and I can't even tell you how excited I know myself and many, many fans were to see you there. But what was it like, in a way, stepping back into a familiar chemistry with Reba and Melissa and JoAnna, while also creating an entirely new character and dynamic for today's audience?
Well, Reba and the writers and producers of that show of Happy's Place went really out of their way to make me feel comfortable. And, they created a character that has had a stroke. So I didn't have to pretend I didn't have a stroke. Although I will tell you, my stroke doesn't manifest itself so terribly in general. A lot of people don't realize when they meet me that I've had a stroke, that's nice. But at one point, the director said to me, "Listen, can you go with the stroke a little more? We can't really tell that you're disabled." I'm like, "What? You want me to have more of a stroke? Thanks."
Oh my gosh. Yes. You're like, dude, I just lived through that.
I'll tell you, I was an avid golfer, and the thing that changed for me is I realized that I would never stand on a tee box again and ask my fellow competitors for a stroke on that hole. You don't ask for strokes once you've had one. It's that's a golfer joke, golfers.
Yes. And here I thought it was just Brock that was the golfer. Okay, so this tells me something new.
No, they added all the stuff about the tan and the golfing because that's what I looked like and that's what I was doing. So they create a character, and then as you inhabit the character, they work more and more off of the actor inhabiting it and get mileage out of who those people are. They do it like with Reba's accent. They still do it. It's hilarious how they play her accent. I love her so much. She is a real blessing in my life. She is like my sister.
It's beautiful. I loved that episode, and maybe they'll find a way to bring you back, or hopefully they find a way to bring you back. Um, so you spoke a little bit about directing before, but you've also done some producing. And I'm wondering, did that change your perspective on storytelling or change any of your methodology towards acting?
No, producing didn't inform any of my work as an actor. What did happen though? This is here's a little inside stuff, and for any actors listening out there, this is my best advice to you. What I discovered going on the other side of the table, auditioning people instead of just auditioning myself, was that every time an actor walks into the room, they have to realize that the people on the other side of the table, they are praying and rooting for you to be great and to be perfect for the part because they are desperate to cast a part, right? They need that. They need an actor to do it. Every actor walks in, like having, oh my God, am I right for this? And, just remember they're rooting for you to be that character. So go in and have the attitude of, listen, your problems are solved. I'm here. I can do this for you. Everything's golden, make people feel comfortable in the room, because they're also looking at, oh my God, I'm going to have to spend 12 hours with this lunatic every day. And, I've had some nut jobs audition for me who I thought, that was pretty interesting, but I'm not going to spend all day with this lunatic.
Well, with so many wonderful years under your belt, what still excites you creatively when a script or an opportunity comes your way? Is there something like your 5 top things that you have to have for a script that fits you, that you'll say, okay, I love this, I'm going to do it?
Really, it's just if there's a challenge to portraying the character, that's what I like. I like a task that is not simply solved. Like playing the Elephant Man. The character it's a relatively easy character to play, because you just twist your body up and you do the voice and everybody identifies with you. So that's not a difficult one. But when you're playing Iago, for example, which is a character I've always wanted to play, how do you play that and make it acceptable? That he's like one of the worst Shakespearean villains ever. So I love this thing playing villains. I don't know why.
Well, you do it so well. I have to wonder. You've played the charming characters, you've played the befuddled characters, and of course the villains. Is there a outside of behind the camera or in front of the camera? Is there something you want to tackle or accomplish that now that you've had this much time in the business, that you can say this is a passion project I want to go for now?
Well, I have so many, Anthony. God, I wish you hadn't asked me that, because now it brings it all. I didn't do that, and I haven't made any progress on that. But I always wanted to. Like I said, I always wanted to play Iago. I miss doing Shakespeare. There's not a lot of that on television. It's too bad. Although David Kelly doing his work was like doing Shakespeare in a way, because it's written so specifically, and he insists on you playing his punctuation. If it's a comma, you give it the comma pause. If it's a period, you stop and start again. It's like he's adamant about it, and he's such a crafty writer. It's just beautiful to play it. Once you find the character, it flows out of you. I loved playing that character. Loved it so much, and working with Shatner and that entire cast. I got reunited with Candace on that show, and we've always loved each other. She says that I remind her of her brother Christopher, who apparently is a maniac and I don't know. But Candace and I always joke. She's a great practical joker, and she is fun to she's fun to be around and to work with. I love that woman. I've been so fortunate. Candace Bergen, Reba McEntire. Look at my leading ladies, and then my buddy. Yeah. George Carlin, who we've lost, but George was such a close friend. And, I've worked with these icons that I did Rod Steiger's last project, this movie of the week, Murder in the Heartland. I've worked with some really talented, wonderful people. Very, very fortunate to have worked with them. And they're good actors they are the most fun people to hang around with. They're smart, they're funny, and they're not pretentious, the good ones. It's the insecure ones who act like jerks. It's true. I believe that anybody who sets foot in any capacity on a soundstage should take a knee and take a moment to thank the powers that be, and to thank their lucky stars that they're there, because there are 100,000 people right behind you who would happily trade places with you. And people who come into that situation, that's just a wonderful situation, and do not respect it, or bitch and moan about it and all that stuff, and complain, I have no use for them at all. I'm just not tolerant that way. I always do a little speech whenever we start a new series. I call it my pilot speech, of where I gather the cast around and I say, listen, guys, you know how we react and sort of come to attention when the network people in the studio and the executive producers come on set. That's the way we need to be that attentive with every person who works on this crew. We can't do it without the PAs. We can't do it without the prop guys. We need everybody. They are equally as important to us. So from now on, this is a no, it's not no spins. It's a no attitude set. And I've been told that our sets are the most pleasant for guest stars for them to work on. Very supportive, and Reba has carried that. Reba and Melissa have carried that forward into Happy's Place. It's another joyous set.
Mm-hmm.
They're wonderful.
I got to ask a sidebar question. How often did Melissa get you to break up during filming? I can imagine, just laughing for minutes straight with the faces and the reactionary, and I know that our listeners would love to hear, the dynamic of working with that, and she's spontaneous as an actor, so I would imagine there were multiple times where you didn't quite know what was coming.
Oh, she's very creative, yeah, and she's a brilliant comedian. She didn't crack me up too often, but what would happen is she would go off on some tangent, and then you try and follow her, and that's going down a rabbit hole. So the thing that with Melissa is Melissa makes it easy to do good work because she's doing all the work for you. All you have to do is just sort of respond to. Brock half the time I was getting laughs just by looking over it at Melissa after she would say something, just to look over because people knew he's like going, what the hell? When she was stormy weather, when she decided to be the weather.
Oh my gosh, that was just on the other day.
That's so fun. I love her. She is, and she, when I was in the hospital, she was one of the first people to come to the hospital to spend time with me. She's just, she is a love. I adore her. I've had some pretty good wives on television. She's one of the best. Reba's a pretty good one to have too. And let me tell you something. They both are great kissers.
Oh.
But
that's good.
Yes, it is a good thing. It's a good thing for their boyfriends and husbands. But let me tell. Here's a story for you that not many people know. So I got my friends who I did this show called The Charmings, where I played Prince Charming, and the producers of that went on to produce The Nanny. And so they called me and they said, "Listen, we're doing an episode of The Nanny where she meets a Manny, a male nanny, and they have an exchange. And would you come play that character?" I said, "Absolutely." And so I came on and I'm playing it, and Fran's character thinks that this Manny is gay, and so she's
Yes,
as a
I remember.
And then we kissed, and she's like, "Oh wow, you're not gay." Well, let me tell you something. Fran is the best kisser I have ever kissed on television. My toes curled.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. And when I interviewed her so many years back, I wish I had known that story. So you mentioned it to her. That would have been so funny.
She's so much, and I love that she's so politically active. I support all of Fran's stuff. I love her politics. I love her. She is hilarious and generous, and that voice that is so unique becomes nectar to your ears once you get to know her, because
yes.
It means Fran. I love her.
I have to say, I was a young kid, but I was such a fan of the Charmings. They did not give that show enough time to hit with the audience and develop. It was so well done.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Well, looking forward, is there any, this is the opportunity where you get to sell a project or send people somewhere. Is there anything you want folks to look out for? And tell us about your website and socials, or anything you want to direct our audience towards.
Well, you can find me at as I think it's Ace Charmer on Instagram, and actor Christopher Rich on. I also have that gram and Facebook. You can find me. The thing that I'm excited about right now is my wife, who's a magnificent artist, is involved in a competition that Johnny Depp is doing. And so she's now made it to the quarterfinals in this artist competition. And I think I posted that on my Facebook page. But, you can go, if you see that link, you can go cast a free vote for her. And let's see if we can get her up to the finals. But no, I know. No projects that I'm really got going. I mean, I would just ask everybody to register to vote, though. Please get involved. This is our time to participate. The thing that's a damn shame in this country is that when I was back in the 1920s, when I was in high school, they taught. No, I don't think it was the 20s. No, which I'm a mid-century modern. I was born in the middle of the last century. How scary is that shit? But they don't teach civics anymore, so people don't realize how important it is to be involved and stay involved. And I wish our education system was more geared toward. They should teach civics, and they should teach accounting, money management to every high school student. I mean, the world
Amen.
is a much better place.
Amen. You are speaking my language, my friend. I read a lot of reflection and op-ed pieces around that, and also trying to tell people that every election matters. The school board, the local commissioners, because eventually they're going to be the state representatives and the national representatives, and most of your policy is happening at the state level. So, amen for that. Thank you. Yes, please get out there and register if you are not registered and vote this year. It is very, very important.
Please. I've got these my daughters are now all out of college, and they are beautiful, talented, and smart. And they are, they're ass kickers because, I think it was my karma that I got all girls, because I was a little bit of a player in high school and college. And
Oh, God.
Shocking.
Right?
I think God said, okay, now you see what it's like on the other side of it, Dad.
Yeah.
But I was able to give my girls every scam that any boy will ever try to run on them, and they're pretty tough. They are solid. I'm so proud of them. But I don't want to leave a crappy world for them to have to deal with and clean up. We need to start the cleanup now.
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Having 4 kids myself and grandkids, we need to do something. But I want to thank you, Christopher, from the bottom of my heart. You have no idea how thankful I am that you agreed to do this interview today, because I'm such a huge fan of yours. And just like any soap opera person would know, we follow them when they leave their soap. So if we're a fan of somebody, we follow them, and we follow you wherever you go. And so we look forward to all that you have to come, and we definitely welcome you back anytime.
Well, you are delightful. You and Anthony are a wonderful pair to do this interview with. And this has really made my week, my day. It makes me happy talking about this stuff, obviously. And, you brought me back a little bit to life. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Seriously, it's just been a joy. You're wonderful.
And I have to say, thank you for being so open and vulnerable and, informative about having gone through a stroke, and not tucking yourself away and saying, I've had a fabulous career. You continue to put yourself out there, and we need to see that as well, especially those of us who are living with a disability, to know that you get knocked down and you come back fighting. Seeing that represented in someone that we look at on our screens on a daily basis sometimes makes all the difference in the world. So thank you for being so open about that as well. And we'd love to have you back sometime when you've got a project or just to tell us some more stories.
Right.
I love talking to you guys. You're great. You know your stuff, and you are very prepared for this, and I certainly appreciate that. And since you forgot to ask, my favorite color is blue.
Well,
and and you love long walks on the beach.
that's right.
I like autos too, by the way, if you're interested. But yeah, I do enjoy my drink, but it's usually red wine or bourbon. I am from Texas, and then I'm an effete snob because I'm an actor, so I drink wine. No, actually, what happened was I mean, we're done, but I'll just give you this little bit. I moved in next door when I first moved to LA I was living next door in a condo to the guy who owned like the best wine store in Los Angeles. And he started inviting me down to his wine store to try different wines. And man, I got an education and I fell in love with wines. And I think that's why I don't live in a bigger house. It's because I spent all my money on wine.
Oh, no.
I'm a Malbec man. What's your red of choice?
My red of choice right now for the money is Quintessa, which I think is just one of the best blends of it's the equivalent of Opus One, but about half the price.
Yeah. Wow. Nice.
Yeah. So I love the Meritages. I love the blends. They're called clarets in England. Those are my favorites.
Well, have a great rest of your week. Folks out there, you can find us at Take Two Radio. You can also find us at Sunday Edition. And for the rest of our socials and stuff, stay tuned.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Take Two Radio. That's with the number 2. For Take Two Radio The Remix, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Take Two Radio The Remix, again with the number 2. For all things Anthony and Sunday Edition, go to anthonycorona.com, and that's Corona. Until next time, thanks for listening.